if your brain is stuck in a threat loop, if that's been telling your body for years that something is wrong, something is dangerous, something is going to hurt you, then no amount of breath work or somatic exercises or walking in the forest is really going to help you. I talk to people a lot who've been through somatic therapy, which is amazing. I'm a somatic therapist. It's wonderful. And it's learning how to attune to your body and be with. But if we aren't also rewiring the brain's understanding and response to pain and illness, then there may not be a lot of decrease in your symptoms because the body can't soften when the brain is still sounding the alarm. Hey there, and welcome to the Heal with Grace podcast. I'm your host, Grace Secker, and I'm a holistic licensed therapist and nervous system coach who believes that the chronic and often unseen symptoms you're living with are a sign of something deeper going on, a sign that your nervous system needs attention. In each episode, I'll share the science behind the most common chronic health disorders, plus holistic tips using mental, physical, and spiritual practices. You'll hear what I've learned in my journey and the true stories from our trusted guests, so you can feel less alone in your experience and give yourself grace no matter what you're going through. So without further ado, settle in and get cozy. It's time to heal with grace. Hello. Welcome back to the Heal with Grace podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a listener. Truly, if you've been on this journey with me on this podcast since I started and you're an OG, wow, amazing. I am in year 3, which is so crazy to say, of the podcast, and I love it. It's a lot of work, but I love it. And I love sharing all the tips and tricks and everything with you because I feel like, I know in my journey, I needed to hear the ins and outs, right? I needed to hear like the behind the scenes of how someone was working through this and how to help myself and what to do, right? I didn't have this. None of this world was not as big as it is now when I was going through my healing journey. And by the way, if you're new to this world, welcome. It's wonderful. It's so supportive. There's so many resources out there now to help you heal mind body, to help you understand how your symptoms are related to your nervous system. Actually, not just related, but caused by your brain nervous system response. And I'm going to dive deep with you today into understand how to do that. Right? Like everyone's like, yeah, okay, regulate your nervous system, but like, what does that actually mean? How do we do that? And if you just attended my free masterclass last week, how to know if your nervous system is behind your symptoms, this is that kind of step 2 and exactly what I help people with. This is literally the outline of how I help people and what I take them through, and then how to teach them to help themselves. My whole goal whenever I help someone, and honestly, like the whole goal of the mind body journey is to have trust within yourself and learn how to help your body be its own healer. And I'm not saying that we just tell you what to do and you like go in the forest and just meditate and it comes. No, we all need support and teachers and mentors and education and tools and things along the way. But it's not about me telling you what to do and I'm going to fix you and change you. That's the medical model. That is the traditional medical model. That is what is really how you've probably understood your health until today. And so, what I help you do and what this work, the mind body work, helps you do, specifically my program, the Mind Body Healing Method program, my whole goal is to help you be your own best healer, your own best teacher, have a different relationship to your body, to your symptoms, so that you can feel more aligned, more present in your life, happy in your life, connected to the people and your values, really understand your values and live in alignment. That is the beautiful wisdom underneath this whole journey. So if you're like, yeah, I want to learn how to do that. Okay, this episode is for you and it's exactly why I created it. So let's get into it. First and foremost, if we had this conversation 8 years ago, you would have been talking to a very different version of me. I was that person going to a million different doctor's appointments throughout the week. Every different type of holistic practitioner, integrative doctor, functional doctor, PT, body worker, every protocol. I was the one with all the notes and all the frustrations, leaving the doctor's appointments crying because I was overwhelmed. I didn't actually really understand what they were saying because when I was in there, I was so frozen in my own body and in my own brain that I couldn't even take in what they were telling me. And I mean, I have so many memories sitting in my car after an appointment, just sobbing and being like, I don't even know what to do. And then I would crash and I'd feel like shit. And I would just repeat the cycle every single week. There was a moment, and if you've been at this a while, I'm guessing you've had your own version of it, where I sat there with another normal looking lab or another million different functional labs telling me I had some sort of dysregulation on in my body with some sort of minerals or toxins or mold, and another expert telling me this is what you need to do with this supplement protocol, this detox protocol, or hey, we don't actually see that much on this scan, so don't really know how to help you. I had that moment of like, well, am I just going to be on this hamster wheel the rest of my life? At one point, I kind of accepted it. I was like, I guess this is just my sensitive body. I just kind of have to live in a bubble. I literally told myself, I guess that like this is just going to be my life. I'm more homebound and I can't really do a lot. I can't go anywhere because I react to everything. And if that's you, if you resonate with this, I just want you to know I feel for you. And you're doing an amazing thing because you're listening to this podcast because you have little antennas going up being like, no, this can't be it. Right. And you're wanting to learn more of how to get out of that space. So, yay, that's amazing. Keep doing that. Keep listening to this. So, what I want to teach you today is what does it actually look like to help your body get out of the patterns of pain and illness? What does it actually look like to say, heal mind, body, regulate nervous system, retrain your brain? What are the steps? So, obviously, in one episode, I can't teach you every little detail, right? It's not possible. But I am going to walk you through the phases that I help my clients go through. And these are the exact phases of my program, the Mind Body Healing Method, which, by the way, the doors are open this week for my next group iteration. We have a sale going on, and then we also have another small group that's going to be starting. And you can get in on that if you sign up by the end of this week. So you can find the links below for the special sale and the pricing and what we're offering. So the whole point is that I want to get in as many people as possible to do this work. And so I want to make it as accessible as possible to you. So there's a couple different options. You can get the course. Actually, we have a bundle right now of a cup of the Mind Body Healing Method and my own special Flare course. And you can get that and go through that on your own, in your own way, in your own pace, in your own time. And then you can add on some individual sessions with Liana, my other therapist and coach that teaches in our program, to get that support. And then if you want to be around a group of people who are going through this together and then guided by me, you can join the Mind Body Healing Method small group. It is a group where I support you. You go through the program and we give you step by step instructions to do that outside of session. But then in session, you're getting real life coaching from me and getting supported by others. And it's this wonderful, juicy, just, oh, such a love space, like such a space of love. Everyone loves each other and supports each other. And we're just in it together. And I am diving deep with you to understand what you're missing, where you're stuck, things like that. So find the links below. DM me if you have any questions about it. DM me on Instagram, or you can send me an email if you're like, hey, I don't really know. I want to do this, or I'm interested, but I just don't really know like what's right or what's the best fit for me. I will totally walk you through it and we'll go from there. So back to our phases, right? So the phases of the Mind Body Healing Method, the phases of how you go through this healing journey is what I'm going to outline for you. And before I do that, I want to touch on what I mentioned earlier about this like medical model of just, I kind of said this, but I'm going to expand onto it. Basically, the medical model that we are in modern day society is one that makes you think that you don't have any power. And I don't say that to the doctors out there that are trying their best and genuinely want to help people. I have not met a doctor or a practitioner who's like, "Oh, I'm just in this like just for the money or the ego state." Because to be honest, like not everyone makes much money in the helping service oriented medical field. Everyone is truly genuinely operating at a place of just wanting to help. It's just that not everyone has the modern day pain science that we have now. So my point being is that the medical model is built around a system that makes you not trust yourself. Because every time you have a problem, you go to a doctor or a specialist, ask them how can they fix you. They give you some sort of prescription or protocol or to do to then do that. but they can't guarantee that's going to change anything, right? And then you're left with this sense of external need for validation and fix and help. And instead, what I want to help you do is understand your own sense of self and values and alignment to where you can, yes, go for support and help. I'm all about it. I've said it a million times on here. Like, I always have had some sort of mentor, practitioner, therapist, teacher to help me along the way because that's super helpful. But I choose people who help me help myself. So, this is not to say if you break your leg, don't go see a doctor. Obviously, go do that, get the help you need, and be on your way. You need that support. But the reason I say that is because we need to I was just had a podcast episode about this of learning to trust yourself throughout this process. It's a big part of it. On a very blanket state level, most humans walking around this world right now do not trust themselves. And so then every sensation, every twinge you feel, every headache you get, you're freaking out and wondering what's wrong and what's happening. But if you start to learn to trust your body's own wisdom, and then you also learn to stay in alignment with your values and how you want to live your life. One, you probably won't have as many headaches, but two, you won't freak out. You will know how to help yourself, how to respond to your symptoms instead of panic. You'll respond with compassion and love and maybe a little annoyance, but you'll move through it. That's the difference. I want you to go from panic, freaking out, confused, not sure what's going on in your body to I'm just going to respond to myself no matter what's happening in a very loving and compassionate way. The more you respond, the less your body freaks out. Yeah? Okay. So here is the roadmap, the 5 phases of the mind body healing method, and the way that any other practitioner doing this mind body work has some sort of iteration of this. This is my iteration. So, first and foremost, I'm going to say the phrases and then I'll explain them. We have recognize, rewire, regulate, integrate, and reclaim. So, first and foremost, phase one is recognize. And I want to tell you up front that this phase might sound simple, right? Just recognize what's happening. And it kind of is in a sense of it's really a lot more about educating yourself. In this phase, you're really learning to understand what's actually happening in your body, not about what you've been told, but not what the symptoms feel like on the surface, but the real mechanisms underneath. Like actually how your brain changes your body sensations, how your brain and your nervous system actually create pain and illness. Recognize means knowing that your nervous system has two main jobs: protect you when there's a threat and bring you back to safety when there isn't. Up, down, activate, settle. And when your nervous system gets stuck, in up and down or bouncing between both, your body starts sending signals: pain, fatigue, dizziness, gut issues, tight chest, hypersensitivity, brain fog, IC, OAB. The list goes on, right? Recognize really means understanding those signals are communication. They're not malfunction. They're not because something's wrong with you or your body's too sensitive or too broken. They are not punishment. They are not your body betraying you. They are communication. Your nervous system is sending you signals of distress. It's like a flare signal, right? Like if you're lost in the woods or on the ocean or something like that, and you're SOS, like you need help, you send out a huge signal, right? Your nervous system is essentially doing that when you have chronic pain and illness. It's saying, hey, something has to change. We got to make a change. We're not okay. We're in threat mode. So, recognizing the recognized phase is helping you understand that so that actually there can be a little bit of a, I get what's happening. So, I'm not as worried. Doesn't mean you're not going to worry, but you're just not as worried. It means that maybe we can get you out of your head a little bit more or stop panicking and scheduling every specialist appointment that you can under the sun, bringing down that danger signal a little bit just by understanding what's happening, right? Awareness is power. Education is power. You cannot change something if you are not aware of it. So we have to become aware. We have to recognize. Some people stay in this phase for a long time. There's a lot of people I have calls with who are like, I've read the books. I've listened to every single episode of your podcast. I have done this self-paced program. I've done that self-paced program, but I'm still stuck. So awareness is amazing and it's wonderful and it can help you, but it is not going to change everything. So that's why it's only step one. Step two is rewire. Rewire means the phase where we actually work directly with your brain. I called it rewire because I see rewiring your brain as kind of more like a technical phase, if you will. It's not necessarily that technical, but this is where we learn about brain training. Because if your brain is stuck in a threat loop, if that's been telling your body for years that something is wrong, something is dangerous, something is going to hurt you, then no amount of breath work or somatic exercises or walking in the forest is really going to help you. Right? So, like, I talk to people a lot who've been through somatic therapy, which is amazing. I'm a somatic therapist. It's wonderful. And it's learning how to attune to your body and be with, right? Which is great. That's actually the next phase, like being with the sensations of your body. And that is wonderful. But if we aren't also rewiring the brain's understanding and response to pain and illness, then there may not be a lot of decrease in your symptoms because the body can't soften when the brain is still sounding the alarm. So there's a lot out there where it's either brain training or it's somatic regulation or nervous system regulation, right? Or maybe it's emotional processing, and they're all wonderful. But in my humble opinion and experience, we need them all. So that's why my program has them all. That's why I help people with them. So number two, again, back to brain training, rewire. This is the phase where we work top down, right? Like brain to body. So when we start with the thinking brain, the part that's been catastrophizing your symptoms, predicting the worst case scenario, scanning every single morning for what's wrong, attaching meaning to every little sensation you feel in your body. That's what your brain's doing when you're doing that. That's your brain when you're attaching meaning. So what happens is we start to then change the language you use in your brain and your thoughts. Go from, for example, we start to say sensation instead of pain, burning, itching, fatigue, whatever the sensation is that is what you're thinking is problematic, we change that to sensation. Even that little shift changes the connotation of what's happening in your body, right? Because if you're constantly saying, I have pain in my body, I have this burning issue in my body, or this like urgency feeling, or this tightness, or this whatever it might be, sharp pain, those have a negative connotation. So your brain says, oh, negative, wrong, bad. So with brain training, what we're doing is changing that. We're changing your association to those sensations in your body from pain to something neutral, like I'm having a sensation in my body. And it's not in a toxic, positive way, like just think positive and everything will be better. It's not, I'm not talking about telling yourself everything is great when it isn't. I'm talking about giving your brain a believable bridge, something neutral, something true, something your nervous system can actually hold on to without rejecting it. Rewire is about changing those thoughts and also building an evidence list so that your brain can wire away from everything is dangerous all the time, threat mode, we're always in pain, to actually maybe not all the time, right? We deliberately train it to scan for what's right instead of what's wrong. So your brain and nervous system are primed to look for what's wrong. It protects you from a lion, a tiger, a toxic partner, a bad boss or hard boss, right? It trains you to look for what's wrong in your life. Now, that's not necessarily bad when you're driving in a car and you need to watch out for something like a traffic or someone that's going to crash into you. Obviously, that's great. Scan away, brain. But over time, if you've been stuck in threat mode, your brain is looking for everything and seeing everything is wrong. So in brain training, we're changing that to let's look for what's right. Maybe small moments where you weren't in pain or sensation. Maybe conversations where your body felt at ease. We're not denying the symptoms. We're widening the brain's data set so it stops missing the safety signals it's been ignoring. This is the phase where the wiring actually starts to shift, not because you've thought your way out of it, but because you've given your brain enough new evidence, enough new responses, enough new patterns that it starts to update. And once that starts happening, your body becomes available for the next phase. Phase three is regulate. So I mentioned this a little bit at the beginning. This is more of the bottom up, which when we say that, we're saying body first. right? So this is the phase where you probably hear a lot of it on the internet about nervous system regulation, right? This is the tapping, the shaking, the breath work, the somatic exercises, the vagus nerve toning, because those do matter. They're just not the only thing that's going to matter or help you. So when I use them and I teach them, I want to put them in a place where they're really going to help support your body. So to be honest, when I created the program, I was actually debating like, where do I put this? Do I put this at the beginning? Because I actually very much so am a body first person. And I think that's really important to help our body feel safe. But as I learned a little bit more, I did some more research, I understood the nervous system and the brain response more. I found out that I actually need to put it after brain training because if you're in chronic pain and illness, you have learned not to trust your body and to actually just think that everything about your body, like you can't trust it. You don't know your body's signals. You can't sit there and be like, oh, listen to what my body is saying and I'll go with that because, psh, dude, you can't listen to all the sensations you have and then trust them. And like if you were doing that, if your body was in pain, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to lay in bed. Or, right? Like it wouldn't make sense to just like listen and trust your body and work with it. We have to first change the brain and then work with the body. And to be honest, a lot of times this goes together. Like they're in tandem. You know, you don't have to get perfect at brain training before you learn to regulate your body and use somatic practices. A lot of this is interchangeable and flexible, but I do think it's important to note that. So, what does this actually look like? It looks like learning to expand the sensation of difficulty in your body by being with it, expanding the space that you can move and feel in without flipping into shutdown or panic. Expand the window slowly and gently with practice by being with your body, being with a sensation of burning or being with a sensation of maybe you have urgency in your bladder and you have to go really bad. But so somatic practice is sitting with those sensations for 5 minutes before you do anything about them, as you're also saying, hey, I'm going to note that these are more neutral. They're just sensations. They're not something wrong. That's actually a wonderful example of what it's like to use brain training and a somatic practice. Look, I just taught you a skill. It looks like completing stress cycles your body has been holding for years. So when you do have something coming up that you want to avoid or push down or your body wants you to collapse into, I want you to be with it. I want you to shake your body. I want you to move. Learn how to bring um learn how to bring sound into your body through your throat, through humming or singing or using sound to make vibrations in your body because we know that certain frequencies and vibrations actually heal the body. Y'all, by the way, each one of these phases could literally be like 10 different podcast episodes. So I'm giving you the highlights here. And as I'm noticing myself, I'm wanting to go more deeper and deeper into them and share more, but just can't fit all that in here. That's exactly what the program's for, though, or one on one support, however you want to feel supported. But my point being is that it looks like somatic practice and nervous system regulation with the body looks like learning the difference between my body's activated by something going on. And you might not even know that your body is activated. You might just know it as headache or tightness or pain or frustration. Whenever you feel those things, your body has been saying danger. So what we're doing is we're separating that. When there's an activation, like someone's annoying you, you're feeling frustration, you're feeling anger, you're feeling pain, illness, sensation, we're separating those things from danger because we're recategorizing them. We're basically telling the body that it's not dangerous. It's okay. It's okay to be with these sensations. It's okay to be with frustration. It's okay to share my opinion, even if someone rejects it. All of these things are absolutely okay and safe to be with. It doesn't mean comfortable or happy all the time, but your body has never learned that uncomfortability is okay. And that's what we're working with when we're talking about somatically being in the body. Regulation is teaching your system gently that activation can be safe. And that feeling something doesn't mean you're in danger. I mean, man, I've been in this phase for years in one iteration or another, right? I'm not saying I've been stuck in this one place forever. I'm saying that like this is an ever evolving place to be. And I am learning more and more what it means to expand my capacity and be with all these different experiences in life. It's pretty wild, y'all. This work is incredible. And I'm just saying that because this is a really important place. And also, this is just an ever evolving process. But there is a place of almost like an unlock that you can get to when you do this work, where it's kind of like the more you practice these little places of just being with the body, the more confidence it gives your nervous system, which then the more capacity you have, which then the less symptoms you have. Yeah. Okay. The next phase is integrate. So, this is the phase that I get very fired up about because I don't often hear a lot of people talk about. We hear nervous system regulation in terms of brain rewiring or somatically regulating. But from my experience, this is the secret sauce of healing. Integrate is all about emotional regulation, trauma healing, if that's been a part of your story, learning how to get out of protective mechanisms like perfectionism, people pleasing, overfunctioning, lots of work with emotional suppression. Because if your body has learned to survive by doing these things, which it has, all of everything I just mentioned are protectors. And then also suppressing your emotions like anger, grief, sadness, shame. Those are the big ones we suppress that get stuck in our bodies. Your body is holding it all together while quietly falling apart. Those patterns still live within you, no matter what brain training, somatic expansion you can do. Emotional expression while you're regulating your brain and your body, it all goes together. So we start to look at the pressure you've been carrying for years, the trauma you maybe haven't even called trauma because it didn't look like trauma in the movies, right? You didn't know you had it. Or maybe you did. Maybe you 100% can be like, yep, I've had these traumas. All right. So we're working with that in a different way than you probably ever have. Look, I was a therapist for 6 years, I think, 5, before I came to this work. And like, I'd been through some trauma trainings. I learned how to help people with their emotions, but nothing I learned in those years touches the work that I do now. I understand emotional expression and suppression and trauma work and survival strategies when it comes to personality characteristics on a whole other level than I ever realized I could know it on. And I say that just because I don't want you sitting here be like, yeah, I know I've been to therapy. Like, I've talked about my trauma, I've talked about my emotions. That's the problem. I don't want you to just talk about it. I want you to learn how to expand your capacity for it, respond differently to how it happened in your body, meaning you had an experience, your body categorized it as dangerous, or it categorized it as not okay. So it suppressed all those emotions. And now it's coming out in physical symptoms. So I want us to help you to be with those emotions and that experience and respond to it differently. Two people can go through the same experience. One body categorizes it as trauma and dangerous. The other body just says, oh, that was a difficult experience and we're moving on. We don't want to stay stuck in talking about it forever or stay stuck in processing it forever because that keeps it alive. We want to bring it up, be with it, and move on. That's a very simplistic way of saying it, but I think you get what I'm saying. So, this is also where we work with the parts of you that have been carrying so much weight, like the protector parts, a little bit I mentioned, the people pleaser, perfectionist, the exhausted caretaker, the part of you that doesn't feel good enough, feel smart enough, the part of you that feels like you have to be so successful just to be worthy of love. Those are super important here because that's driving so much of your protection patterning in your body. And this phase, I'm not going to lie to you, it can be a little hard, but it's beautiful. It's the most transformational work. And it's really where the deepest healing happens because this is where you stop being at war with the strategies that your nervous system built to survive and start releasing the actual reasons your system needed those strategies in the first place. When this phase starts working, symptoms don't just quiet, they start to mean something different. They become information instead of an emergency you need to fix. And that's when you know you're making changes. All right. Phase 5 is reclaim. And I called it reclaim because I'm talking about like reclaiming your life. What does it look like? What does your life look like after you've gone through all of these phases I just talked about? Like, damn, y'all, those are some intense phases, or at least they can be. And again, this is one podcast episode, but those phases can take months. Reclaim honestly can move up and down these phases. Again, phases are just here to be outlined, but know that it's flexible. It's within a system. And so this reclaim phase is you aligning more with your true self. And sometimes for some people, it looks like leaving a relationship, leaving a job, leaving friendships, or making new friendships, finding a new partner that is way more aligned with you than ever before, stepping into a new career that feels so much better for your body, your system, and your life. Like sometimes people have to make big changes in their life in order to move through recovery, which I say that as like something you have to do. I actually think it's like a beautiful part of this work. I just had someone that you'll hear this episode come out talk about this, where we talked about how actually this like chronic pain and illness is making you uncomfortable so that you make these changes, right? You're not just going to make changes without being uncomfortable. And so reclaim is where you start trusting your body again, not in a fake way, but in a real hard earned way because you've spent the previous months, however long, building the relationship with your body back up. You've recognized what's happening, you've rewired the brain, you've regulated the nervous system, you've integrated the patterns underneath, and now your body has started to feel like home again. And this is where your identity starts to shift. Chronic pain and illness becomes who you were sometimes when it goes on long enough, right? You start to forget the true self and you just start to plan around your symptoms and you stop making plans about actually how you want to live your life. And instead, you just protect yourself every day. You shrink quietly or not so quietly, but you do. And so reclaim is where you start to remember or you start to build a new way of being in your life, where you start to saying yes to things again. You stop introducing yourself by the job that you hated and that you had, right? You find out actually what lights you up, the people you want to be around. You set boundaries with people that maybe you needed to before. Here's the thing about reclaim. It's not the end, right? Like I said, this is a very flexible process. It's the part where the work becomes part of how you live and not because you don't have flares anymore or you don't have symptoms. Symptoms like body physical reactions to stress states of your life probably will continue to happen, but not in the way of keeping you out of alignment in your life, not in the way of keeping you from your life. Maybe just here and there where then you know how to work with it, right? So reclaim isn't this like, oh, I never have any body symptoms ever again and I'm healed and I'm fantastic. No, it's just about really understanding that you're honoring yourself and you're continuing to do that over and over and over and over again. So, what I really want you to take from all of this is that your body is not malfunctioning, it's not betraying you. Your body is doing exactly what it learned to do, which is protect you. The symptoms that won't quit, that aren't random, they are your nervous system's best attempt at keeping you safe based on everything it has experienced up to now. So your body has been in protection mode, and protection mode can come down with the right map and a supportive system, a supportive place with the right people and the right support. And that's true recovery, not a fix that someone gives you to change you. It's support to help you help yourself. I think that is the best gift that we can have in life. So, that is the map of how I help people change and shift, which is actually pretty wild for me to just sit down and explain that in an episode. But I really feel like I did. And obviously, there is so much more underneath all of that. But I hope that gives you a good overview. And if this episode landed for you, if these phases, if you hear yourself in the things that I just said, I really urge you to look at the mind body healing method. I want you to send it to someone in your life who's been to 12 doctors and still being told everything looks fine because they need it too. But so much so for you Don't wait on it. I don't want you to continue to stay in these patterns over and over again because the longer you do, sometimes the deeper those pathways get. And so we want to help you get out of those pathways and not stay stuck in them. All right. So, as a reminder, you can find the links below. At the date of this podcast episode, we do have a sale going on. And if you're listening to this after the sale, we always have something going on, but find the links below because you can always join no matter if we're having a sale or not. I always want this to be accessible for people. So, you can go through this program in a self paced manner, or you can get the support of a group or individual. So, we have a few different options. If you don't know what's right for you, let me know, DM me, email me, and I will walk you through it. But the main thing is that I just want you to get the support that you need. I want you to get out of the stuck place and feel more aligned in your life and not have to think about your symptoms all the time. Okay, I hope that this was helpful. And remember that your body is just stuck in protection and it is not broken and it is totally possible to get unstuck. Until next time, keep healing with grace.